Yeah.
Guys.
Hi.
Hi. Look.
Hi, Joe.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
Good, real good.
Look, 35 years ago, you guys shaped my childhood. And 35 years later, did you know that we would still be talking about this film that came out in 1990 as one of the greatest comic book adaptations of all time?
Nope.
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 No. Fair.
Next question.
Yeah.
You got it. Now, Judith, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, obviously, we know you played April O'Neil, but correct me if I'm wrong. You worked with Robin Williams at the same time on Cadillac Man, at the same time you were shooting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And from what I understand, apparently he was a big fan of Turtles and he knew about the Turtles. Did he give you any advice or fan theories about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No, he didn't. But what he did do was he gave me my street cred about it because I did not know about the comic books. I didn't know about the cartoon. And I had to keep leaving set as early as possible on Fridays to go fly to Wilmington, North Carolina. And at a certain point, he looked at me and he was like, "What is going on with you? You are always trying to slip out of here. And like, we all want to be in the movie. Do you?" And I was like, no. I'm going and doing this other film. And he said, "What's it called?" And I was like, I have to say it out loud. I'm doing a movie called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And he said, "What?" And I said, it's a really cool script. It's a very interesting story. It's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles." And his eyes just lit up, and he was like, "They're making a movie of that?" And he was so excited because he had every comic.
Really?
Yeah, he had the very first one. And so he didn't really give me advice. What he did do is he worked with production to get me out on Fridays and then help shoot me out so that I could go do the other movie. And then when the film premiered, he flew down with his family from San Francisco and surprised me, and it was pretty exciting.
That is incredible.
Yeah, he was quite a mentor.
That's awesome. That's awesome. By the way, we are going to be taking fan questions, so if you guys want to line up over here, please line up, but that'll be in a little bit later. But Brian, as the voice of Leonardo, the cool, calm, collected leader, how did you approach that responsibility, and did you identify with Leo at all personally?
Well, what's kind of interesting, I don't know why they called me in for Leonardo, but because of my voice, I don't get it. I normally don't talk like that. No, it was a kind of interesting thing. I knew nothing about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I didn't know that there was this great comic book series. I didn't know about the cartoon. And what was interesting is, I want to kind of backtrack a little bit, kind of an interesting thing. There was a company called Golden Harvest who owned the rights to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. And they were known for the Bruce Lee movies, things like that, in that nature. And so they wanted to find a partner in the United States to do the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. The first one, anyway. They had plans, they didn't have plans for other ones. They just figured if they can get a movie out, that's great in America. So they went to Disney, they went to Warner Brothers, they went to Universal, they went to 20th Century Fox, and they were all turned down by all the studios. Nobody wanted the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. And so what happened was, there was a small outfit called New Line Cinema. And New Line Cinema was really only known at the time for the Freddy movies. You know, Nightmare on Elm Street. So they said, yeah, well, we'll take a chance with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. Anyway, so what happened was they got together and they put the production team together and they put the cast together and they started shooting, but I was not a part of it. Boo! And so they were going on, but they released the actor playing Leonardo. Yay! And then they hired another guy. Boo! And then they fired him too. Yay! And so at that time, I was on another project, and somebody said to the producer, said, you know, Brian Tochi became available. Do you think he might be interested in maybe doing that? So they said, oh, well, let's see. So they called my agent, and they said to my agent, would Brian be interested in doing this thing called the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie? So they told me about that, and I said, I don't do horror films. At the time, I didn't want to do horror films. So I said, I'm not doing a horror film. And they go, no. It's about these little turtles. We're in the sewer, a little ooze drops on them, and they start growing, and they become these karate badasses with a little surfer bent. And I go, yeah, I think I can do that. So really, I didn't really have an indoctrination, to answer your question, as to anything about Ninja Turtles. It's just that when they explained it to me, it felt kind of like a natural thing. And as far as, it's really interesting because I would have chosen to have done Michelangelo, the role of Michelangelo, because it
Brian,
had a great line.
Brian,
What?
everybody wanted to be Michelangelo.
No, but Robbie got it. Or Robbie got it. No, but anyway, and now I'm just so grateful and so thrilled to be a part of this juggernaut that, I'm just really lucky about it. Anyway, to answer your question, I didn't know anything about it, I just kind of fell into it.
It's so cool. It's
Nice.
incredible. Josh, you played Raphael, but you're the only actor to have voiced the character and performed in the suit. How challenging was that physically and mentally? And can you talk about working with Jim Henson Studios or the Creature Shop and performing in those animatronic suits?
It was, to answer your first part of the question, it was grueling. The costume weighed 70 pounds. From morning to lunch break, we would lose 5 pounds every day. Could eat like a monster. And all this technology was pretty new at that point, and they hadn't really anticipated, the physical challenges of it. But I will say that as grueling as it was to be in the costume, not always, but a lot on an active day, it really helped me create Raphael. Just that angst. It was like, it was on tap, like it was right there. And so, it definitely made my job easier on that level. And in terms of the Creature Shop, absolutely magical place. First time I went there, I was body casted. I don't know if you've heard other people talking about it, but basically you're sealed in plaster with 2 straws in your nose to breathe through, and then you're sealed up, and I hear and left, and they left us in the plaster longer than they needed to see how much we would freak out. And so it was like this, and then I'm hearing like muffled, like, let's go get a tea, and I'm like, had to really learn that from the very beginning to not let my mind take over and just like come back in, which in a way also helped with the theme of the movie. And just the Creature Shop was like creatures everywhere, these geniuses making these, like a wolf, and just unbelievable magic, creativity, and industry, and playfulness. And Jim Henson, when we were shooting, like at night, we would all go bowling, and just a beautiful, magical guy.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
All right, so I think Ernie Reyes said that you guys did the training stuff, all the moves, without the suits to start with. Is that true?
Well, when we rehearsed the movie, so each one of us had somebody that controlled our faces, but we would rehearse, and that person that controlled our faces was a dual performance, and he would watch my face and then try to recreate that in the turtle face, and then I would work with him and say, actually, let's make it like this and like that. So we rehearsed everything, and then in terms of the martial arts element, we trained for about 4 months.
It was pre-suit, right? Because I guess what I'm getting at is that, on the Abyss, the first day of work, from what I understand, they were all in the suits and they were clumsy and it was really hard. And they were like, we're going to be down here a while.
Yeah.
So the first day of suit work, when you found out that you sweat in a thing that weighs 70 pounds that now weighs 100 pounds?
Yeah, I mean, the first shot we did was coming into the lair, and and we were walking down, and there's water, and we're just like slipping, and I mean, it was just people. The producers were panicking. Like this was the first day. We were falling. The suits wouldn't work. We couldn't see because a lot of the stuff we had to do, we literally had no vision, but we had very limited vision. We weren't attuned to working with very limited vision. So,
And
we'd
there was
walk into
water
each
down
other.
there.
So
And there was water.
a
down
lot of
there.
water.
And there were. Do you remember the crickets?
No. I don't know. I probably couldn't hear anything.
You had crickets. Somebody let a cricket in, and then there were 10,000 crickets, and it ruined the sound for the film. We had to I had to loop everything, but I remember like you guys down there just in the water, and it was like, because they wanted to make it realistic, and
It was a disaster.
I had,
It's a miracle that we made it past that first day.
Well, even
It is.
in scenes, right? Weren't the heads
malfunctioning.
touchy? So
Oh, yeah.
so
Oh, yeah, they
in the
looked
middle of
like-
scenes, you're like, I nailed that take. They're like, yeah, but the turtle. Sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then one of us, one of our
Eyeballs.
an eyeball would go like this, and then we would all have to wait, and so we'd be sitting in these suits and getting hotter and hotter, and then one of us would be like, take the head off! And we'd freak out, and the other one would be like, get my head off!
But also when you say there's water, wasn't your own body water dripping down and you had
Like, they had water running.
yeah.
Through the bottom,
But I'm just
yeah.
saying,
But
you
inside
had the
the
water
suit.
running, but you also had inside your sweat loading up in the feed.
So you're squishy.
Yeah, so you
Oh gosh.
But wait, but the squishy, be honest, felt kind of good, right?
Kinda.
Josh, do you
You could take whatever you can get, in
So-
turtle soup.
What happened? Like, did you, when they came up with the turtle stands, that came later. That wasn't.
Yeah. So they finally made these air-conditioned little, with kind of plastic rooms, and they had these stands, so we would sit in it like this, and they would put AC on, and we'd just be like,
I felt so bad for these guys.
I mean, it was boot camp.
Oh, yeah.
It was like,
Well, and then on my side of it was these guys were suffering, and so and we'd have something. I used to say we have MTV, which was Major Turtle Breakdown, and we just had these long gaps in the day, and it got to the point where it was like, just get in there, shoot the masters, shoot their close-ups, and then they get pulled out, and then I would get like one take with C-stands and paper plates with smiley faces, and those were my turtles, and they just say, they do them,
That's the magic of movies.
That was magic.
yeah, but you did it brilliantly.
And-
You pulled it off,
But-
really.
Well, but there were
Oh, she was
moments where
amazing.
you wanted to kind of go, oh, this is so hard. I would look at you guys and go, even though I'm dying inside. Please, one more take.
Robbie, Michelangelo's light-hearted, pizza-loving personality provided the perfect counterbalance to the film's gritty tone. How did you infuse your own personality into Mikey while still staying true to his comic roots?
Joe, I'm an actor. I have no personality. All right. So
Spend 20 minutes with Rob.
At the time, I was doing, I was a voiceover guy already, and so I did a lot of, cartoons and commercials and stuff, and Fast Times at Ridgemont High had sort of set a certain template for a certain kind of surf dude. And I'm from the San Fernando Valley, which is kind of the birthplace of all of that.
Yes, sir.
And so I was basically Michelangelo was Kurt Yaney. Kurt Yaney was this dude I went to 10th grade with, had Golden God, Robert Plant, curly hair down to his shoulders, and every morning he had a van. And every morning he would get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I find surfers an interesting bunch anyway, because their whole thing's kind of zen-y, right? They're like, I'm going to give up a lot just so I can sit on a beach for an hour before I even get in the water and contemplate, watch the break, do the thing, right? So he would do that. He'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and he'd go to the beach and he would surf for a couple hours. Then he'd show up at high school and he'd use the PE showers to clean up and off for his day, and he'd get out of the van and I'd be like, and Kurt talked like that, and I started poking fun at him because that's the sort of person I am. And I was like, Kurt, dude, how was it today, right? Out of the waves, whoa. And he's like, oh, it's really funny, man. And he'd, get on with his day. And so I've been doing a lot of, it got to the point where I could dude voice at will. And I was doing a lot of cartoons and commercials doing that guy. There's a Munsters Today episode where I played Jack, the surfing angel. So it was already kind of there. And then, I knew about the comic book, but not the cartoon. And they said, you want, the surf guy, you want to read for it? And I got to be honest, my ego precludes me from saying that Michelangelo, this is the most popular iteration of him. But the other side of that is, apparently this is the most popular iteration of that guy. Yeah. He's very kind. But truthfully, there were any number of guys working in town at that time who also could have slayed that part. And I just got really lucky, and I feel very grateful that 35 years later, we're talking about this instead of Spy Kids.
Well, Rob, you hired the right guy. I got to ask you about your director, because I didn't realize he was such an iconic music video director. He did Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, Take On Me by Aha, Africa by Toto, Summer of '69 by Bryan Adams. The list goes on and on.
Unsung hero of this film.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what was your experience working with him?
It was incredible, and what this was his vision. I would love it if we ever got his cut of the film, because we didn't get his cut. We need Steve Barrett's cut in 4K, and we need his commentary. And I would work with him in a heartbeat on anything,
That's amazing.
anywhere, at any time.
Many fans describe this movie as the perfect time capsule for the 1990s. 1990, right? But what screams?
It set the foundation.
It was the barometer.
So they say that in 1970, Led Zeppelin invented the 70s. So I guess Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the Led Zeppelin of the 90s?
Without question.
Exactly.
But what in that film screams 1990 more than anything else?
Sam Rockwell?
Yeah? Skeet Ulrich
hair.
was also in the film, yeah?
Kids on screen smoking cigarettes?
That's it, man. Yeah.
Yes. Josh, I have a question for you. You have a book coming out soon.
Yes,
Yeah?
we do.
I do have a book coming out. Will you guys and I wrote it for you guys. Can you take your phones out and write the title down? It comes out in September 30th. Penguin Random House's.
Follow all of our
It's
socials.
called. Write this down because I want you to just. You can look online. It's on Amazon. You can just read about it. It's called "Lose Your Mind: The Path to Creative Invincibility."
I love that title.
Yeah, and it's just things that I've had to use, and just working with so many of the leading actors in around today, from like Meryl Streep to Robert De Niro, Joaquin Phoenix, Edward Norton, and just what I've had to learn in this field and applying it to everybody, because actors are faced with having to get out of their head, having to be engaged with what's in front of them, and to be able to deal with every body sensation without it getting in our way. And so it's really, I think that information is really valuable for all you guys, and so check it out.
I know that it's been valuable for me because I've studied with Josh. He's an incredible teacher, and if you ever get the opportunity to work with him, work with him.
It's Judith.
And not a bad guy.
And look at him. Come on.
Josh, do we have a release date yet?
What's that?
A release date?
September 30th, 2025. But you can pre-buy it.
Pre-order it.
Yes, pre-order. That's
Yeah,
the
you
key.
can pre-order it if you want.
Absolutely. Now, I got to ask you, when I was in San Diego last year, I did a panel with Kevin Eastman for The Last Ronin, which is a huge hit in the TMNT universe. Do you think that your film could work, or that film could work as a continuation of the original movie universe? And would you all be open to reprising your roles?
It's a bookend.
Yes.
It's a bookend. It's really a bookend. And I really appreciate the fan support. I appreciate the support from the Last Ronin crew. They all know who they are. Tom Waltz, thank you.
Yes.
Ben Bishop, everybody. And yes, of course, because it's such a beautiful story. Anybody who's read The Last Ronin, I mean, it's a heartbreak, and it would be so much fun to continue on. And thank you to everybody who's throwing their support out there. I appreciate it.
If you haven't read it,
They're listening. They're paying attention.
if you haven't read it, I'm sure it's on the floor somewhere. Pick it up. It is absolutely heartbreaking. Incredible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Now, if you guys do come back for The Last Ronin, would you prefer practical suits or CG? I feel like I would know the answer. Robbie, you don't have to be in the suit this time again. You have somebody else.
Hey, I'll be in it, but I guess that's more your question.
I mean, there's something about I was only in the first one, but there's something about that there are actors creating in the suits that is the reason that we're here today. Because you can feel the beings kind of emerging, and CGI is impressive, but there's no soul. And so if they can cool the suits down a little bit, I'm in.
If they were to do this with practical effects, the motors, all the electronics inside those heads, we're now 35 years down the line.
Absolutely.
It would probably look almost photorealistic if they wanted to. So, and we live in a time now where they use CG instead of making movies.
Yeah.
You know, instead of making a real movie. Like, look, talking to you guys, okay, the Spy Kids joke I made earlier. Truthfully though, how many movies aimed at kids came out since 1990? And how many of them have the support and love of not only people that are the demographic, but adults are still watching this movie, and I don't think it's entirely nostalgia. I think it's because they made a good movie.
But also, it encapsulated love. The love between the brothers, the love they had for Splinter. I mean, and as Josh says, you know, there was a soul that was captured, you know, as opposed to anything that was, you know, that came later. That's why I think it still resonates to this day. You know, it's kind of an amazing thing, is that when it premiered, it was, first of all, it was just a juggernaut from day one. The first weekend was the highest grossing independent film in the history of film. And not only that, it finished out as the as the highest grossing, the most successful independent film in the history of film by the time it was done. And it was because, and here, what makes it even more interesting is that the audience was paying, most of the primary audience were kids paying half price, coming back over and over and over again. And I really think it had.
If it was a grown-up movie, that $150 million that it made would be double that in 1990 money.
And I think there was something about in the movie that everyone can relate to. But I think at the core of it, it was the soul and the heart that was on screen.
So these, I talk about this a lot at these convention things, is we're here not because we're promoting the movie, because it came out 35 years ago. We're here to hear everybody's story, not just ours, but yours. And what I've noticed among the Turtleverse, the Turtle community, the Turtle community, the Turtle community is every story. Not only is the movie about family, like Brian said, every story is about family, about how this movie came into their lives. And I've heard everything from, you know, my dad and I didn't especially get along, but boy did we bond over this. And I hear a lot, and so the central story attracts cool people who have a great story about their family. And I think that's part of the enduring deal with this.
Just their relationship with April.
That's really what it is.
I mean,
Yeah. Although not once do they mention in the film, and by 3, Michelangelo's really putting the moves on a human. I would like to share a special word with all of you in the Turtle community. Cloaca.
I also want to say sorry. I meant to say, Josh, you don't have to be in this, and I know I said Robbie. But I do want to ask you, Robbie, a question. I know that Michelangelo loves pizza. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No, not at all.
Yes, it does.
What do you guys say? Pineapple on pizza? Look, I think this is the perfect opportunity to open it up to you guys, the fans. Who do we got here? What's your name, sir?
Hi, I'm Tim from Alexandria.
Hey.
And first of all, I'm 37 years old. I grew up with the cartoon and the movie. I remember watching the movie with my brothers. And thank you for bringing the cartoon to the big screen. And my question is, did any of you take anything from the set? Authorized or unauthorized?
Great question.
I wish I had. They did give me my forearms, but they've turned
Decomposed?
powder. Yeah,
all that sweat.
yeah.
I have a couple things. I have the earrings that I wore, and I have a picture that was in my apartment. And
On sale
I
now.
would give anything to have kept the drawings. I wish I had kept those. I think I probably could have, but we never thought that would mean something.
Brian, Robbie, you guys can take anything?
I don't have anything from the set, but I have to say something amazing. It's when the film came out, they had these little merchandise toys for like $2.95, $3.95, $4.95. So I'd go out and buy a bunch of those things and start giving out to friends, give them out to people, give them out all that kind of stuff, right? And some people that come to see us and they have the same original toys. You see, some of them have price tags on them like $300, $350 for the same thing that was like $4.50 ago. Oh my gosh, if I just kept half the ones I gave out, I'd be so in good shape.
So we have 6 minutes and 23 seconds left, so we're gonna rapid fire these. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Jeff from Ashburn, and my question to all of you is, what is your favorite part in the movie?
Great question.
Rapid fire. I would say it's the farmhouse scenes. Really love that because we were a little away from the chaos of the set and the crickets in the water and all of that. And it was, for me, that's so much the heart of the film.
Yeah, farmhouse scene, heartfelt.
Yeah, I would say farmhouse scene too, and also walking in and saying, damn. Much louder than that.
By the way, at these things, a lot of people have told me that when they were 7 or whenever they saw this movie, when you said damn, they would immediately, and the look is always the same, it's great. I was watching it with my mom or my dad, and he said damn, and I went, and the parent looked down and went, oh, we're all right, we're gonna be fine. So that's pretty amazing. Mine is when they come through in the sewer at the very beginning and the bossa nova, all that stuff. I think it does a really great job of establishing the hierarchy of what you're gonna see for the next hour and a half.
Incredible. Thank you. Hello, how are you?
My name is also Brian. So my question, Robbie, you already kind of answered this, but for Josh and Brian, where did the voices come for you? Like, where do they come from?
For me, I grew up in what was called Alphabet City. It was the toughest neighborhood in New York City. And physically, everybody, because it was very dangerous, there was a lot of drugs and a lot of murder and everything, but everybody was trying to be bigger than they were. And somehow that physicality that I created with Raphael, the voice was just an extension of that New York guy, period.
Well, the way I did it, I just kind of raised it up and kind of made it go like this. So cowabunga, dude!
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that Leonardo was going through adolescence.
You didn't see me grab myself tightly. That's how. So that's how.
Thank you. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I wanted to ask, crud, I'm blanking thing. How come you didn't reprise the role of Raphael in any of the following movies?
I had a recurring role on Law and Order, and so I was doing that, and I started doing a lot of other TV stuff, and I loved that I was part of the first movie, but I didn't want to continue working in a suit.
By the way, the portrait that I got with you guys the other days, I misplaced it. Do you think you guys could maybe keep an eye out for it, just in case? It's inside a plastic bag that also has a Capitals jersey inside.
Hey.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out.
Yes, thank you so much. I love the movie shirt. How you doing, sir?
Hi, I'm Will from Alexandria. I love this movie because my mom introduced me to it. It's one of her all-time favorite movies. She saw it in the theater when she was pregnant with me. And we have been to the beloved farmhouse in North Carolina. So I'm wondering any special memories. I know it's your favorite scene of the farmhouse in particular.
I would say, like Judith mentioned, we were working in a studio, in these sewers. and it was just a breath of fresh air. Just to be there. The house was so comforting. So it gave us breath.
Same. I also think at that point, you guys had gotten a lot. I mean, Josh spent his time in a bathtub at the beginning, at least. But everybody was
Not a bad job.
Not a bad job. Everybody was more comfortable in their suits. There was more freedom of movement, but it was also where we really got to explore our characters more. And it was when I really got a chance to play with Elias, and that was so much fun. Woo! And yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cowabunga.
Hello, Spider-Man.
My name is Anthony, and I'm from DC, and I rewatched the film last night for the millionth time, and I have a question. One of my favorite aspects of the movie is just the brotherhood and the camaraderie and the banter and one-liners of the Turtles. And I was wondering, like, for Robbie, Josh, and Ryan, when y'all doing your voices, were y'all in a booth together, or y'all did y'all, like, voices separately?
We were all separate.
Yeah, they did. They did every character one at a time. And I think it's a kind of a testament to the ability of, I'm going to take myself out of the equation. I'm going to talk about the other guys. It's a
He's talking about himself. Keep going.
It's a testament to their ability that you can watch this thing and it was put together in a piecemeal fashion, and yet it all sounds like they're in the same room.
However, just to add to that, the second and third one that Robbie and I did, all three original movies, we actually were in the booth all together as well. We were with Corey. We were with.
Robbie.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm much younger.
I had a unique experience with it because I wasn't a voiceover actor, but I had to pretty much dub the entire movie. And it's something called ADR, Automated Dialogue Recording. I had never done it before. They flew me from New York to LA, and I had to do ADR on the entire movie in 8 hours. And it was so painful.
That is hard to do.
And I had never done it before. So at my learning, I'm amazing at it now. So it was a little bit difficult for me when I watched the movie the first time because I could see where, I was just trying to get the beeps right. You have 3 beeps, and then you got to say your words, and it's got to match what's coming out of your mouth, and then you have to recreate the performance, and it was daunting. So being able to just go in and say the words, and you don't have to. That was probably the easier job.
Now,
The better job.
Officially, we're out of time, but there's no way that I'm not getting to a Shredder cosplayer to
Yes.
ask a question.
Especially a girl shredder.
Hi, my name is Kaden, and I really discovered Ninja Turtles during the pandemic, and so that's like the one thing that got me through all those years. And so I was just wondering, like, I started off with like the newer stuff, and then I went back to the older stuff. So I was just wondering, like, when it comes to the newer iterations, the newer movies, and the comics and everything, like, have you guys ever interacted with anyone from the newer stuff, worked on any newer stuff, or just like watched the newer stuff and really like enjoyed it or connected it to your characters?
I have. I was asked when Michael Bay did the Megan Fox version, and we could make the schedules work. And then when the second film came out, they got to me early and wrote something, and we shot it, and it was a very interesting experience because it was like a full circle moment shooting in Times Square, sort of where it all happened for me, because we were shooting, I was literally looking at my agent's office. Unfortunately, they cut it all out of the film. It's Hollywood. And there's a lot of reasons that a lot of things happen in final cuts. I take none of it personally, but apparently it's in the it's in the special features or something. But very nice people, totally different beast. Very, very different.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look, unfortunately, we don't have any time for any more questions. However, you can meet them at their booth
Yeah,
Get a
come
picture,
on.
Yeah,
autograph.
we'll answer questions
Answer
there.
questions there. And also, September 30th, get Josh's book.
Yes.
Lose Your Mind, The Path to Creative Invincibility.
I just want to say, you guys are so spectacular. We
Yeah.
love you so much, and we so appreciate your support,
Yeah.
your love, and we just love seeing you. If we haven't met you yet, come by, say hello. Thank you so much.
Let's hear it.
You're the best.
Let's hear it for Judith, Brian, Josh, Robin. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Thank you. Come to the booth. Thanks. I'll ask your questions.
The elevator tries to break you down.